Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into something pretty amazing, how children literally build their entire world one single word at a time. We'll break down this incredible journey of learning to communicate and figure out how we can help our youngest learners become really powerful thinkers and storytellers. So let's just start with this question right here. How in the world does that first random scribble on a piece of paper eventually turn into their name, or a sentence, or a whole story? I mean, it kind of seems like magic, right? But it's actually a journey with a pretty clear path. And in this explainer, we're going to follow that path, all the way from the very first sounds to full-blown literacy. All right, here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about why this is all so important. Then, we'll get into how to build an environment where language can just explode. After that, we'll break down the 3 big pillars of literacy. And finally, we'll cover the absolutely essential role of partnering up with families. So let's kick things off with the big why. You see, language isn't just about talking. It's the basic tool for thinking, for connecting with other people, and for pretty much all future learning. When you really get how important it is, you see why we've got to focus on it. It's truly a superpower that we get to help children unlock. Here's the thing you have to remember. While the human brain is basically hardwired for language, that wiring needs to be connected. It doesn't just happen automatically. The experiences a child has, the conversations, the stories they hear, the encouragement they get, all of this is actively shaping how strong and how fast they develop this absolutely essential tool. Now, what's so cool about this is how it breaks language down. It's not just one thing, right? It's all these different parts working together. You've got the sounds, the meaning of words, the grammar rules, all the way to pragmatics, which is just, knowing you should probably talk to your boss a little differently than you talk to your puppy. And get this, kids are learning all of this at the same time. It's incredible. This quote just nails how they do it. Kids are not just little sponges passively soaking up words. No way. They are active, tiny mathematicians. Their brains are constantly listening, detecting patterns, and making guesses, like figuring out that adding ed to a word usually means it already happened. They're calculating all the time. So if kids are the mathematicians, then we, the adults in their lives, we're the architects. It's our job to design a world, a blueprint, where they have all the materials they need for language and literacy to just take off. This section is all about the practical stuff, the environments that make a real difference. Let's see how it's done. So building this world really comes down to a few key ideas. And honestly, it all boils down to creating more opportunities for rich language. This means talking with children, not just talking at them. It's about making reading and telling stories fun and interactive, and it's about really, truly listening to what they have to say. The goal here is to get those back and forth conversations going that build their vocabulary and their confidence. And you know what? The actual physical space matters a ton. Just think about it for a second. A dramatic play area with little notepads for taking restaurant orders, or a block area with signs for the buildings, a comfy little corner filled with books. These aren't just play areas. They're communication hotspots, intentionally designed to get kids talking and using language. Now, for a lot of kids, this journey also means learning a second language. And what you see here are the totally predictable, totally normal stages they go through. They start by using their home language. Then they might go through a silent observational period, then come out with short phrases, and finally they get to more fluid speech. It's a process, and our job is to support it, not rush it. And far from being confusing for a child, all the research shows that bilingualism is a huge advantage. Seriously. It can boost their attention, improve their reading skills, and it even has long-term benefits for the brain. The big takeaway here is to celebrate and support a child's home language. It's the foundation that all their other language learning is built on. Okay, on to our next section where we'll see how this all starts to come together. We're going to look at the 3 big pillars of literacy. That's listening and speaking, reading, and writing. Now, these are not separate skills. They are deeply connected, and understanding how they grow together is the key to supporting the whole child. Just look at this. Look at the incredible leap that happens in just 1 year. A 4-year-old is using language for pretty basic stuff, but by 5, they're using it for complex things like reasoning and solving problems. I mean, that is a massive cognitive jump, and it's all powered by language. This little moment right here shows exactly how we can support that jump. So Laura communicates an idea, and her teacher, Mr. Tony, he doesn't just nod and move on. He expands on it. He says, "Tango, this is your new dog, Tango." He validates her, he adds more language, and he builds on her thought. That simple back and forth is some of the most powerful teaching you can do. All right, let's talk reading. It's a really common myth that reading starts with learning the ABCs, but it actually starts way, way earlier than that. Reading starts when a baby learns how to hold a book, or a toddler points to a stop sign, or a preschooler starts clapping out the syllables in their name. This whole period is what we call emergent literacy. This is a perfect example. Sasha sees a sign and she knows it means something. She's not reading the letters, but she's reading the world around her. And look what her teacher does. She doesn't just say, "You're wrong." She validates Sasha's amazing guess and then gently gives her the correct information. She's celebrating the effort, not just the right answer. And that very same kind of progression happens with writing. You have to know that every single scribble is a meaningful step on the journey. At first, it's just exploring how to make marks. Then, those scribbles start getting organized into lines. Eventually, they become shapes that look a little like letters, until finally, a child proudly writes their own name. It's just a beautiful, natural process. Okay, here's a connection that might actually surprise you: the link between the body and the brain. To write a sentence from left to right, or even just to track words in a book with your eyes, you need a physical skill called crossing the midline. It's just a great reminder that literacy involves the whole child. Their physical development is just as important as knowing their letters. And that brings us to our final and maybe our most important section. All of this incredible development doesn't just happen between 9 and 3 at school. For any of this to really stick, the story has to extend beyond the classroom. And that means building a strong, real partnership with families. Ultimately, this all just comes down to connection. We can support families by sending home books and materials, creating little lending libraries with books in their home languages, and sharing simple ideas. One of the most powerful things we can do is just encourage families to read and tell stories in whatever language they're most comfortable with. It's all about building that bridge between home and school. And that brings us to the end. We've seen that language is a superpower, and it's built through intentional environments and supportive relationships. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. What is one conversation, one story, one small moment you can create today to help a child you know build their own unique world with words?